What is up, guys? Welcome to my trailer breakdown for Arrow Season 7, Episode 8, titled Unmasked. So before I actually break it down, let's watch the trailer.
So what now?
I don't know. You thinking about getting back out there?
Let's hope you're not rusty.
Just a bit of advice. You probably shouldn't be shooting people your first week out of prison.
It's a good tip.
Arrow, all new this Monday at 8/7 Central on the CW.
So the Green Arrow is back, which just saying that feels kind of weird just because last season around episode 7 I did title a video, specifically a trailer breakdown, the exact same thing, which is that Green Arrow is back, which made me realize that they already did this same thing last season, which is that Oliver stopped being the Green Arrow for a number of episodes. While last season it was 3, this season it is 7, and he is returning near episode 7 or 8, while they did it pretty horribly last season with Oliver just leaving as the Green Arrow to take care of William and be the mayor, with Diggle replacing him, which was terrible. But this season they did it so incredibly well, with a whole storyline dedicated to why he is not the Green Arrow and why he is indisposed at the moment, and his replacement is a whole season-long mystery that is most likely leading up to this episode as well. So I think that I do think that they did this whole thing of Oliver not being the Green Arrow so well. That being said, I am definitely excited for him to return as the Green Arrow. So we see that Oliver has actually shaved his beard by this episode, and I feel like that will be a scene at the beginning of the episode, or maybe he's just shaven by the beginning of the episode and they probably comment on that. But this is something that is maybe a little disappointing. I think it would have been cool at least to have Oliver with that beard in the Green Arrow suit, to actually see that, because that is his comic accurate facial hair, which is obviously not a big deal, but it was a cool callback to the comics in those first 7 episodes of this season, so it would have been cool to see him in the actual Green Arrow costume with that beard. So 5 seconds into the trailer, we hear Dinah ask Oliver if he's Rusty, as in Rusty being the Green Arrow, which obviously going off this season, he is not Rusty. He's been super badass in these fight scenes, but I do think that what she's talking about is maybe shooting a bow and arrow, because Oliver has not shot a bow and arrow at all in these 7 episodes, which is 7 whole months if you include the 5-month gap, without shooting any bow and arrows, which means that he could be a little rusty in the bow and arrow shooting, and that's probably what Dinah was talking about, unless if she just didn't know about all the crazy fight scenes that Oliver got into in this season. So that is, I feel like a lot of people were pointing that out in the comments under this trailer, or just about this trailer in general, and I do think she's talking about the bow and arrow and not the actual fighting. But that being said, not really a big deal, I just wanted to point that out. So throughout the trailer we learn where the title of the episode comes from, although I do think there is a double entendre with the new Green Arrow, who will be almost definitely unmasked in this episode, which I will go over later in this video. But Oliver Queen is unmasked as well, as he is not wearing his mask or his hood. The reason for that is because he doesn't really need them. His identity is public, so the mask doesn't keep his identity a secret, although I do think the hood had some protective aspects about it, so maybe he will bring that back, although there are Elseworlds set photos that show that he is in his Green Arrow costume without any mask, without any hood either. So I think they might be keeping this on for the whole show, which I mean it makes sense, but I really hope they don't do that, because just wearing the hood is obviously so iconic. The hood is just off this show became so iconic to the character, and the mask along with the hood make him look so much cooler and make him look so much more like Green Arrow. So I really hope that, even though this makes sense, I really hope they don't stick it around. I really hope they don't leave it like this season, and the hood and the mask come back. So that is it for the trailer breakdown, but I do still have a lot more to talk about in this episode. The trailer didn't really give much away. It was literally all just Oliver back in the field, which I do like that. I do like that they did that, but there is still a lot more to talk about in the episode. For instance, I do think that the Green Arrow will be unmasked, or the new Green Arrow will be unmasked in this episode, as it just makes too much sense for her or him to not be unmasked. As for who I think they are, there is a video in the top right corner of the video going over who I think it is basically the top 5 characters who I think could be the new Green Arrow. There are some characters that don't really make sense on the list anymore just because now they've been confirmed to be not the new Green Arrow. Also, some characters were confirmed to return that could be the new Green Arrow, but I do think my number 1 choice is still the character who I think will be the new Green Arrow. So if you haven't seen that video yet, link will be in the top right corner. You could definitely check it out. So I think there's one big thing to talk about in this episode, which is that while the first 7 episodes of this show had a thing going on that was so good with Oliver in prison, all the other characters have their own storylines separate from him, and I think that worked for the show's favor because it kept characters apart. Characters like Oliver and Felicity were not together for the most part, which in my opinion made the show so much better. Characters like Team Arrow, where the rest of Team Arrow did have less screen time, meaning Oliver had more screen time, which just makes the show better in general. So I think that there's a lot of people questioning whether or not the show will drop off in quality after the 7th episode, which was, to a lot of people, the best episode of the show ever, and definitely the best of the season. But then there's this episode, episode 8, which doesn't follow that formula anymore. Oliver is out of prison. It really feels like a new season premiere. While the last episode felt like a season finale, this feels like it could be just representing a new season, where the second episode is a crossover, but just don't think about that. Unmasked could serve as a season premiere, and I do think that will mean the show will maybe drop in quality a little bit because they don't have this prison storyline to stand on. That being said, the showrunner, Beth Schwartz, the new showrunner, I do have a lot of confidence in her. After the first 7 episodes, she did a great job, and I think she probably will continue to do so. But I do also think that the show has help with those first 7 episodes, which is the storyline of Oliver in prison. The fact that they chose to make it 7 episodes long was perfect, and I think that really benefited the show so much, while episode 8 won't have that crutch. So I'm not sure if Arrow will continue to be as good this season as it was the first 7, but I am definitely hopeful that it is. One thing that we will see more of for the rest of the season is Felicity, which is not something I want to see more of, but it's going to happen. It has to happen. I mean, it doesn't really have to happen, but it will definitely happen, so that might contribute to the drop in quality that this season could possibly be having, because what the storyline did, like I said earlier, was separate these 2 characters, and when both of these characters are separated, they are at their best, so that could definitely contribute to it. I generally am hopeful and optimistic that this season will definitely be maybe not as good as the first 7 episodes, but could still turn out to be a good season nonetheless. I mean, they have the flash forwards, they have the new Green Arrow, Stanley will be returning, and Ricardo Diaz is becoming a much better villain throughout these last couple episodes, so I am still optimistic, but I am still left to wonder if the show has a possibility to drop in quality with this episode. So that is it for this video. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.